Welcome back to the Colorado Springs Business Podcast. My name is Andrew Hasley, and I am the host of the show. Today, we are sponsored by the Colorado Springs Business Podcast, which is this show. If you are looking for a creative and effective way to promote your business, well, the Colorado Springs Business Podcast might be perfect for you. We create 5 episodes a week, and we'll read a 15 to 30-second script at the beginning of every episode promoting whatever you want, similar to the ad that you're hearing right now. Your promotion will be on that episode forever as well. So as the show grows and people start to binge listen or watch multiple episodes, you will have that ad on that episode forever, even after the ad deal has ended, unless you want to have a long ad deal. So that is the ads for today, and I'm going to introduce our guest for today. Our guest is Theresa Garcia with Rubi's you want to say it?
Rubi's Positive Empowerment.
I was going to say power and positivement.
It is a mouthful.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to roll the intro music and we'll dive right into the interview. This is a show where we have real conversations with the business owners and entrepreneurs here in Colorado Springs, doing things in the community of Colorado Springs. Awesome. Theresa, how's it going?
Wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I'm going to act like we are not doing this twice. All right, cool. So let's talk a little bit about your business and what you do.
Awesome. So we help individuals with disabilities gain and maintain employment, and we do that in a variety of ways. We'll facilitate assessments and paid work experiences. Paid work experiences are when the client gets to go into the community based on their job goal and work for a business, and the state pays their wage and fully insures them while they're on that site. They get a job coach with them to help them learn the new role, and then as they become as they're meeting expectations, the job coach kind of fades out, similar to what would happen if they were employed through the actual company. The second piece we do is job development, and we do that in a variety of ways as well. We do a lot of networking with our clients, and for our clients, we do applications side by side with them. We teach them how to write a resume and a cover letter. We teach them how to kind of buff up their Indeed.com profiles or LinkedIn profiles. And then, of course, we'll go business to business with them and do applications as well. Once they become employed, we often go into job coaching. Not every client needs job coaching, but some clients do. And so the ones that do, we will be with them 100% in the beginning until they start to get comfortable in their role. Also, really making sure we do a task analysis and ensuring that every task is exceeding that manager's expectations. And then once we're at that level, we start to fade out.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, you do a lot.
Yeah, it's always different. That's why I love what I do. You never know what you're going to do that day.
For sure. So with the jobs, are you working with people that are first time getting their job, experience? How does that look?
That's another thing that is all over the place. I love it. I work with such unique, diverse individuals. Some people, I've worked with people with master's degrees who have, 20 years of experience to people who have never had a job before. So it's all over the place in every field out there.
And what's the oldest person you've seen? This is a curious question. Oldest person you've worked with that has never had a job before?
Actually, there are many adults that are 40 plus years old that haven't had a job before. And that's for a variety of reasons. Not necessarily that they don't want to work, but sometimes people tell people that they can't work. And so it really depends on your environment and who you have supporting you as to what you believe that you're able to do.
And you work with a lot of people with disabilities. I mean, that's
everybody.
Who you work with.
Yeah. Everybody I work with has, but it's not always intellectual or physical. I work with every kind of disability out there.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you really help people get their life together more than just getting a job.
Yeah, well, see, I think that's one of the things that stands us apart from the other organizations is that we focus heavily on mindset. So, we try if the client is willing, right? Because like we don't force anyone to do anything, but we will work on mindset. We will develop a self-care plan so that when you wake up and you provide yourself that daily self-care, you're setting yourself up for success. And so I've seen people come into my office who were really unhappy and quite miserable by their own terms. And in just a matter of weeks, completely transformed. I mean, to the point where their voice changed and they seen all these opportunities everywhere. It was like one of the most beautiful things ever.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Because that you affected that person, and those people are going to affect more people.
Yes. And that's exactly what happened with this person is, their home scene, the people in their home scene at first, but then they started working with other people for their they created a faith-based like community program where once a month they'll go out and do something great for the community. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So you're basically kind of a mentor, a life coach for these people, kind of helping them get their lives on track.
Kind of, actually. I mean, one of the things that my clients often tell us is that we always go above and beyond, and it's because, I don't ever do any life coaching or anything like that on DVR's time, which is the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. But if I see somebody struggling in some area and they want help or they want to talk about it, I'm definitely going to be there for them as much as I can.
For sure. Yeah, that's awesome. So with the business side, so how do you make your money from this?
So the state of Colorado's Division of Vocational Rehabilitation pays me. So basically that enables us to offer recruiting, training, and retention services at no cost to businesses here in Colorado Springs.
Yeah. And I think you said when your client first gets the job, it's paid for by the state. Did I hear that right?
Some. If it's a paid work experience. So paid work experiences are typically about 160 hours. It's for clients that maybe are trying a new job goal that they don't have any experience in. And so the state will pay their wage and fully insure them for 160 hours so that they can learn those new skills so that we can now say, yes, this is going to be a great fit. Let's go find them a job in this area.
Okay. That's because there's obviously every industry has lots of businesses in their industries.
Yeah.
So you got options.
Definitely.
Yeah. So how did you get started in this?
Honestly, I do believe there was a lot of destiny involved because I didn't directly go after this job. When I first moved here, I struggled very much at getting a job. I was word vomiting during my interviews, telling people too much information. And, I went to over 100 interviews and only got called back a few times. And then that's got to hit your... It did. It hurt my ego. It made me feel definitely very low confidence at the time. And then I got a job with Bourbon Street Productions. And I loved being there. Like the office environment was amazing. And the owner, John Bourbonnais, he actually brought me into his office and sat me down. I was like, well, what do you want to do with your life? Like, what is your goal? How do you want to impact the community? And I was like, what? I had to think about it for a minute. But at the time I was networking and I become kind of infuriated with some of the stories I was being told. I never really fully research them, but from my experience and what they told me is that, the kids that have special needs, that are in the special needs program, in order to graduate, they have to go through this transition program. And part of the transition program is that they have to work in the community somewhere doing something. And then the moms in the networking group said that the schools got paid, but the kids didn't get paid. And I was infuriated. And I'm like, we need something better. And
it's like they didn't do anything wrong. They shouldn't be having to do community service.
Right. And I get like if you want them to go out and get a job as part, but at least let them get paid, right? Like if the business is gonna pay for their wages, it shouldn't go to the school. And so I told John
they're doing work for the school.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't in the school, so they'll go out and work at somewhere in the community.
Okay.
So it could be any business in the community, and I for hypothetical reasons, we'll say Walgreens, right? So they're going to go stock shelves at Walgreens. Well, what they told me is that the school gets paid for that person working, but the person working doesn't get paid.
Yeah.
So I was infuriated. And I told John about this, and he had some really creative ideas for how to teach some job skills. And unfortunately, that job didn't work. John was absolutely amazing about it, but I'm not a numbers person. And what he needed was a numbers person.
Did you find him that numbers person?
No. He had
cool
somebody else do it. But he gracefully let me go. And we stayed in contact. He's still a mentor. He's still an amazing person. And I completely understand why it didn't work out. Because just a few months later, I fell into this position. I applied for a mentor position. The place told me that they actually said they didn't think I would fit best for that job, but they gave me the opportunity to work in supported employment. And after about a week, I loved it. But I was so scared. I was like a little child. I didn't know. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be on my own in a week. I don't know how to teach job skills. I don't know how to do this. And so I just started researching like a mad woman, developed all these, or I didn't really develop them, but I researched different techniques to use. And within a week, I became director of the department. And I was allowed to redesign the department, and it became very effective. Within a month, we got a bunch of people jobs. Almost everybody had interviews. Prior to that, only one person on the board had interviews.
Oh, wow.
And so it was a really fun and exciting route. DVR noticed my effectiveness right away. Unfortunately, that job didn't work out, and I let the DVR counselor know, and she was like, I think you should become a vendor. It
sounds like it was fortunately that it didn't work out.
Yeah, no, it was very fortunate for me. At the time, I was really distraught, right? I was just like heartbroken because I'm like, I finally found something I'm so good at. But
in hindsight, it's like that was a blessing.
Yeah, but it was totally a blessing. I applied to be a vendor, and then it took a while for it to actually happen.
And the vendor is
to work for the state. I'm not an employee of the state, but I'm like a 1099 contractor for the state.
Okay, sweet.
So yeah.
So what do you think has been some of your biggest challenges with this business that you run?
I definitely think it's the trust factor, trusting. It seems like I'm either too trusting or not trusting enough. I feel like in this last month, I really found that balance.
With employees?
But also just people that I do business with, right? I mean, not necessarily with the job placement piece, but of course we all have landlords and all that fun stuff. And there was some, really hard situations I had to deal with that because I trusted and, that kind of backfired a bit, but now I learned a very valuable lesson, and everything that I expect will always be in writing. And I'll never have that situation again.
And you're talking about with the place you were leasing for your business?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
So there was a lot of issues there. But other than that, I feel like this was the best time to learn that lesson because now I will make sure that I'm fully protected no matter what moving forward. So then I'll be good. It
sounds similar to a Sam Walton's story, the guy who started Walmart. He had a business somewhere down in the South, but it was like owned by JCPenney. It was like it was a popular chain, popular franchise. Well, the one in the city that he was working, or the one in the city that he started running them in that city. That business was like dead. Like it was like a bad business, and he got involved in it, and he turned it into like one of the best things, essentially like a precursor to Walmart. Essentially, he turned it into like this really awesome thing. He had really cool forward-thinking ideas, like stacking a bunch of stuff, like one item, making big piles of it. It's just like he started that, but and then he made that business really successful. That specific store, and because of something about the lease wasn't right, they ripped it right out from him and started took it over. And that was actually a blessing for him because then he moved to Bentonville, Arkansas, and started Walmart.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. But because of this whole lease situation, we started looking at commercial properties so that we can have our own space, and our clients are welcome anywhere in that space, and it's ours, and we don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So, yeah, I'm really excited. Again, another problem that turned into an opportunity. So it's all good and lessons learned, right?
Yeah.
And no matter what I go through, I always try to figure out, well, how can I get better from this, and what can I learn from this? Because of course I reacted kind of harshly, and I'm pretty disappointed in that. But at the same time, I realized that it doesn't matter if you're right. What matters more is just to be kind and move on. Learn and grow and move.
And if you learn from it, then it's not a mistake. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
I love mistakes. I've been saying that a lot lately. We had a little mistake here. So what do you think has been some of the highlights of your career?
Oh, this last month has been insane. So originally we helped 15 job seekers reach their goal. Unfortunately, with the whole school deciding to pull out, D49 was going to be in person, and then they decided to roll out the online. So about 7 people didn't actually fulfill that position. So I think we're at like 8. But that's still really good. Like last year, we helped 10 job seekers reach their goal, and we were one of the top providers for DVR. So to do that in a month is just insane.
I bet they're talking about you in the upper offices. Yeah, that's cool. So what do you think has been contributed to a lot of that?
I think a lot of it is networking. A lot of it's been networking, and then, the writing in our resumes. As we go about writing our resumes, we make sure that our client stands out in a good way, right? And then the profiles, we had a few people recruited from the Indeed.com profile, but then also from networking, I had a few business owners come to me for their employment needs, which is like ideal, right? Like that is where I'm trying to be, so that I'm not always out seeking these jobs, like
getting the word out there, letting people know who to hit up.
Yes.
Yeah. So I know you can't talk about specific clients because of laws, HIPAA laws, but what has been one of the harder, not exactly like you don't have to say the client, but like what have been some of the reasons why it's been harder for some clients to get jobs?
For me, in my humble opinion, a lot of it has to deal with mindset and the belief. The belief of being able to do something even though they're a little scared of it and maybe not very experienced in it. Getting over that mindset is the biggest obstacle, but then also keeping in mind that, in the home, there's a lot of different cultural beliefs and things like that, which also influence our clients' ability to work. There's a lot of misinformation out there about individuals on disability with benefits and their ability to work. So right now my partner is going to school to become a benefits specialist so that we can overcome that as well.
What's benefit specialist?
So a lot of individuals on that have disability get Social Security. And because of that, whether it's SSI or SSDI, they have income limits. So if they make over I think it's about $1,200 a month in some cases, then they don't have access to healthcare and some other things.
So it's basically like a reverse incentive to stay on disability.
Sometimes, yes, it can be. And so there's a lot of different myths out there. So like some families believe that their kids can only work, or even though they're young adults, can only work 10 hours a week. Or I just heard one saying that they can only make $60 a month, and I'm like, that's not right, So we got to dispel those myths out there. And
why do they think that?
I don't know. It's an ongoing. It's
just been passed
down. It's like this myth that's been out there forever, and so that's why it needs to be like broken into, because there's so many different things. I'm not a benefit specialist, so I don't know all the ins and outs, but I have had a little training on it, and there are different situations in which people can get like a trial, like where you can go over your income for like 6 months. And so if you've never done that before, you can go over for 6 months and see if working full time is sustainable for you or if it's not, right? Because some people can work full time and they're going to do amazing at it. But if you've never worked before, you don't know. And so it's a lot of mindset.
Yeah. So how do you get into that mindset? How do you help change that?
So my biggest thing is if the client wants to change and is willing to do some homework, I give self-care homework. That will include waking up, and I don't care what time it is, but practicing gratitude, getting your heart rate above 160 in the first 10 minutes of waking up, hydrating. So when you get your heart rate above 160 and you hold it for like 2 minutes, you basically get like 10 times the amount of endorphins that you would get if you worked out at any time. So if you start your day like that, right, you snowball into an even better day.
I'm excited to try that tomorrow.
Yes, I'll show you my move.
Yeah. I was just going to do some jumping jacks.
Yeah, it's similar to jumping jacks. What I do the Yogi Shuffle, and it's because you wake up your heart space. You put all of your energy into your heart space. So you like put your arms up like this, and then you shuffle your feet.
Okay, so woo.
It's like, yeah.
Can you say woo if you want?
Of course. You know, when you're working out or you're doing it and you smile, it's just going to make it so much better.
Yeah.
Right? You have a physiological change there. I didn't believe that until I was pushing iron.
And do you, one of the things I like to do is like chug water at the beginning because that it helps the blood flow. It gets in your system.
In your organs and all that fun stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I start my day actually usually with lemon juice and apple cider vinegar. Yep. Just to help with that healthy gut because it's like your second brain, right?
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's a lot of neurons in your stomach.
Yeah, and in your heart.
Yeah.
Which brings us to heart math.
Yeah,
right?
and I actually haven't heard about the neurons in your heart until you brought it up. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. So I'm also a heart math coach. So I will, for my clients that deal with anxiety and some of those other things, like most of us do, right? Mm-hmm. It's a 3-step breathing technique that takes about 4 minutes. And basically you create a coherence between your heart and your brain. And when you do that, you feel lighter, you feel better.
This coherence, what do you mean by that? Like it's synchronized?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So normally, when you're in like a state of a depleting emotion, any other emotion like anger, frustration, stress, overwhelm, all that, your heart rate is going to be going at a very rapid rate. But when you're in coherence, it's long and loopy.
Okay.
And so I have this little monitor that you can come over to the office and try. Yes. And I'll walk you through those steps and you'll see. What I love about this is you don't need the monitor to do the activity, but when you're learning it, in order, so many of us, we need to see something before we believe it. And so for me, when you start it and you get to see this monitor, it reinforces what it feels like to be in a coherent state. And then you're able to change that channel at any time.
Nice. So that you kind of build that muscle to be able to control that a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Nice. I need to build that muscle sometimes.
Perfect.
Or not sometimes, all the time.
Yeah. Well, like I think I told you this, but after 3 days of doing it for 3.5 minutes, you make a solid connection. And then from there, you can jump in within just a few seconds and reach coherence. And it's really powerful.
For sure. So yeah. This has been an amazing second conversation we're having right now.
Yes,
just want to say that. So is there anything you'd like to promote specifically? What do you need for, I guess, 1 million cups question that they always ask? What can we as a community do for you?
So I'm always trying to connect with entrepreneurs, business managers, hiring managers, to see if there's any way that I can support you. Again, we offer recruiting, training, and retention services at no cost to you. So I'm never going to ask you for anything. I'm only going to be there to support and help in any way possible.
And you're basically not only helping the businesses, you're helping your clients and you're helping you and
everybody involved. I only like win-win situations.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What are you doing, Chuck?
Climbing the street for a check.
Oh, okay. I decided to call you out there for a second because. Oh, you're good. All right, so I'm making a beat right now. Yeah, so you basically you're helping you want to make sure that the business owners are getting good workers as well. And
yeah. Like there's no, like for me, I would never bring somebody just to fill a position. Like I need to know that person is going to be happy doing that job and is going to be successful doing that job so that I know that they're going to do it to their best ability. And then also when I'm working, like So typically when I get a new client, what happens is DVR gives them a list of providers and they kind of interview me and I interview them as well. I make sure that their motivation for work is intrinsic. So most of the people that I work with, it's not really about making money. It's more about being a productive member of society and contributing. And when you get a worker that is focused on those things, they're going to try 10 times harder than somebody that's motivated just by money. And there's nothing wrong with being motivated by money, but we should definitely look at it holistically.
I think if money's your only motivation, it's going to be short-term gains.
Yes.
And that's it. I know if this podcast, as soon as I started realizing the bigger picture of it, I started working a lot more harder on it. And that was with less, not really any income coming in for real from it. I knew it was a really good podcast from the start because there was a few indicators compared to some of my other podcasts that I'd done. Which one was I thought I was going to have to spend a lot of time reaching out to people and getting guests. And like I did that the first week and didn't have to reach out to anyone really. Like it kind of just fell in naturally. And then within a month and a half, I was already making money with the podcast with advertising space. And I'd never done that with I worked so hard on some other podcasts and never made a dime on them just because I like doing them. So it's like, not only do I like talking and doing podcasts, but I saw with this podcast, like a bigger opportunity. And then COVID happened. I shut it down because I only wanted to do in-person interviews. That's just the way I wanted to do it. That's just the way I wanted to do it. It's my business. So I recently, about a month and a half ago, I got a big idea. I was like, we're going to take this to the next level. I didn't even know I was going to be doing 5 episodes a week at that point. But that's what I figured would be the best way to grow the show as well. But also just be able to really make an impact, like super big. Like, yes, there's going to be a lot of money involved. But it was bigger than that. The idea is bigger than me. It's supporting the community. It's letting amazing people like you have a platform to talk about what they do. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm just, and then I think I saw a big opportunity, but it was bigger than myself, and I think that was a big part of it. Because the growth has been like 10x. We've had a good month as well.
Good.
Yeah. So is there anything else you'd like to promote? I know you're going to actually be getting the post-roll ads at the end of the episode for 20 episodes, which is an entire month. And Theresa actually donated to the show, so I wanted to really give that back to her as well. So we got post-roll ads and pre-roll ads, which are at the beginning. So we're going to figure out that ad. We don't really have that dialed in.
Not just yet. I'm still undecided. I work with Way Out Ministries as well, which is a nonprofit that helps our at-risk youth. So we're trying to decide if an ad for them would be a little more beneficial at this time. But we'll figure it out very soon.
And we're going to have
Chauncey will be it.
The, I guess, founder of Way Out Ministries on the show September 11th. There's no significance to that. It's just the day we chose. But so we'll have him on the show as well, and then maybe even promoting what he does as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
So I guess we can wrap this up. This has been the Colorado Springs Business Podcast here with Theresa Garcia with Rubi's Positive Empowerment.
Thank you.
Not power and positivement, but maybe that works. I don't know. All right, so we'll see you guys in the next episode, and bye.